Wow. All right. Welcome, everyone, to Going Rogue, episode number 6. We got Gambino here, as you can see, with the one earbud in, and Ontario, as usual. And long time since we had the last episode. We're really excited. We got some new stuff coming up. We'll be talking about. We'll specifically going through Golden Krone Hotel today. But first, Ontario, Gambino, go ahead and take it away, guys.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? As you can tell, I'm working for the NSA, so I have my earplugs in. We're doing good. Ontario? I haven't done this in a while, a really long while. I stopped streaming. I kind of fell off the map. I've been moving my life down to Southern California because I'm going to be an actor, obviously. How have you been? Yeah, clearly.
Been doing well. We're excited to be back. I know it's kind of been a long time coming, and excited to have Gambino on. I think this is your first time not as a guest. Is that right?
I think this is the first time I'm ever going to be co-host, so I wore my Sunday best, and we're going to try to make it work. Yeah, I also got my own setup, as you can see, from my old job. We were able to dig this out of the dumpster. Good friend of mine just gave it to me. He said, "Don't ask questions, just take it." And yeah, we also got that. We got some fan art up there. We got some stuff from wow, my brain blamage is good. I forget what that's from. Great comic. Why can't I can't remember it. Fuck. It's not important.
No,
It'll come back to me later, but it's all good. But yeah, I'm trying to make this whole wall space more art themed. So it's looking to be Borderlands wall, and then up here we'll get some stuff there. It's exciting.
Gonna have video games just everywhere behind you.
Oh yeah, I mean, you could just open up this. I mean, there's a washer and dryer in there, but it'd be great. I could just whip it open, and there's a body or some other actor, it'd be great. We'll figure it out.
Cardboard cutout or something.
Yeah, the funny story. At my old job, they had the cardboard cutouts of the two different Jokers that you can unlock, and a couple of guys took those also. So now they just have them chilling in their apartments, and it's well, whenever I walk in, I just turn the corner, and there's that Joker face that. It's fucking terrifying, and it's really fucking cool. Great conversation starter, really.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, I worked at Telltale, and everything collapsed, and haven't been able to really talk about it. But maybe later we'll get into it. But I'm just happy to be back. Skip, happy to help you out with the Roguerama, the first Roguerama that was happening. I was happy to help promote that, and I'd be happy to do it again now that I'm back to working on my computer. Not a ghost. I don't just visit every so often, so it's really, really looking forward to that.
Yeah, we got a lot of cool stuff planned. I know Skip and everyone, as far as a lot of the owners, have been talking about a lot of cool new stuff to do, and hopefully get some more of that going. And starting with it's getting the podcast back going, and we do more events like we did there.
I like the round table discussion. It's always really nice, and it's something I've always wanted to do, but again, it's really tough for one person to really start it up and do it themselves. Having a community is pretty good, and so being able to work with you guys is pretty great. I will definitely pull my weight. I'm not just here to wear funny shirts. I'll do my best.
And sometimes that's all you need is just good shirts, and that's all we're looking for.
That's all it is. It's no substance, just all colors and pugs.
Well, speaking of substance, what do you guys think? Should we start off some of the topics of conversation? Should we kick that off?
I would love to, actually.
All right. So the first thing we're going to talk about, let's move forward on the agenda here. There's a news article that came out. I mean, we're starting off light here with the topics. We're starting off light. Article came out. I'll actually post a link here. That Slay the Spire is actually coming out with they're working on a PS4 actual port to PS4. And I know a lot of people have been really looking forward to Slay the Spire coming out on different platforms. Most notably, everyone's saying because that's supposed to be touchscreen, but they're now focusing on the PS4. I don't know what you guys think. Is that a move specifically because of Switch not being the right clientele? I'd love to get your guys' take on why PS4 for Slay the Spire.
I mean, do they have exclusive rights for it? Does PlayStation say, are we working directly with this developer? I actually am not familiar with that. I don't.
We got a question here. Thought Slay the Spire was on Switch already. Had they already finished that? I wasn't actually aware that they'd finished that port and gotten it over there already. If they have, well, then that makes sense.
I was gonna say, cool. As soon as we were talking about this article, and Skip's well, the Switch port isn't done because I know you play that game mobile on your Vita, or not Vita. Did you play that mobile? Can you play that mobile? Or everyone's just been wanting a mobile port?
I mean, you can move your desktop to like a subway stop and play it there, but I'm not sure
Plug
if
in
that's
and hang out.
yeah. Yeah, mobile hotspot. I don't. I mean, if it's already for the Switch, I think that's a great choice. Just because, like, again, mobility is super easy. You can play it, just play it on the subway or whatever.
Yeah, all right. We'll move past that one because obviously, well, some information on that. But
It's like a
anyways,
weird discussion.
it's
Yeah,
a weird
like,
one then if it's already out. But anyways, can't all be winners, right? This one,
nah, don't worry about it.
this one I know has been interesting. So there's been some review bombing that's been going on. There's an article about that. I'll post that one in the chat there as well. Borderlands 2 got review bombed because Borderlands 3 was listed as an exclusive when it was announced in the Epic Store, much to many people's chagrin. And there was a lot of then sentiment in the article, if you read through it, about how is it a good thing to do, or is it just something that has to be done because there's no other outlet for fans?
I thought it was interesting because I think even with how connected fans are with developers from either Twitch or Twitter and the availability that some people have through like community managers, it's never like a one-to-one. And I'm not sure if that's just part of an issue of like marketing to your player base with like authenticity or not. Like actually have a Wikipedia article because I did my thorough research of like all the different times that review bombing would come up. And like I remember one of the times was for Fallout 76, which was like a notoriously broken game at launch, and it's still like
deserved it though.
76 is a fucking disaster, and like all of the, I mean, there's like hundreds of YouTube channels have already talked about this. I don't want to go into too long of a diatribe, but like the bugs, the promised collector's edition loot that they brought was not what they said it was going to be. The game is completely broken. It's almost like a piece of art, like how it just does not work on most PCs. Actually, like if you get a certain error, it'll brick your computer. Like in certain cases, it's insane. So like I look at the context for why review bombs happen the way they do, and that's like an easier way for me to like gauge, like what is the community actually feeling about this.
Yeah, I just looked actually before we got on here. I was looking at Rocket League because that just got bought up and is going to go over to the Epic Store or whatever. And I was expecting that to kind of get review bombed like Borderline, but it still was mostly positive so far, so that's good. But yeah, I mean, looking at a game, you're like, how much did developers really care? Like Borderlands, like everyone knows it's great if it gets bombed.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is the modding community, like the amount of work that people have put into the Steam community and like seeing what's not available on Epic. And, I think every way I see it is every platform has its security compromises and issues. So like a lot of the blanket, like I don't trust Epic, like I don't trust Origins, but that's also because I don't like using EA Origins. I'm very biased for like no reason other than I'm not an EA fan. But it's like, I think that some people internalize that. Like I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think it's just a lot of it is like misplaced outrage, but also like a feeling of hurt. Like in a way they feel like it's sort of like they turn their back on the community that really stood with them for all those years leading up to Borderlands 3. But that's like my interpretation. I can't like say that's one-to-one. I'm not a scientist. I have a pug shirt.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how that ends up playing out. And I mean, Borderlands 3 is such a big title. People are going to get it off the Epic. It doesn't matter. People are going to hate it and things like that. I mean, it's kind of been the butt of the internet now is the Epic Store. And now they're just throwing their money around trying to grab titles and pull you a little bit away from Borderlands 3. Like, I don't want to use the Epic Store. I want to play Borderlands.
Well, the other thing is like outrage like this kind of like subsides after like a week, unless like things are like continually projected over months, like everything with like the Claptrap voice actor not like wanting to get paid and then they just didn't pick him up again, and like there's like some drama with like other people in involvement with Borderlands, and Randy Pitchford always has like it's just weird. I just it's like stuff that I'm happy I don't have to be in personally because that just sounds really exhausting. But like
the internet, it's gone in 2 to 7 days and
we're
on to the next thing. So
yeah,
it's not gonna
it doesn't like stay forever. It usually like leaves. But I think it's interesting when review bombs happen, and it's more like, well, why did they happen, and why does the community feel this strongly, or are people just trolling? I don't know.
I'm sure a lot of people are just trolling.
Sometimes you can just chalk it up to trolling, but I feel like there's legitimate like frustrations that people have. I never like,
are, and
yeah,
good mix of trolling and legitimate frustrations. Like, I don't like it, but I'm not gonna.
yeah. I'm too old for trolling. I think I don't know. I can't just. I'm too wholesome.
Just walk out with
Can't
your
do it
camera.
anymore.
These kids don't know what they have, and
Boomer mindset. I remember back in my day, you used to play on the couch, the literal couch.
the screen used to be split in half too.
I know, 4 ways if you had your Nintendo 64. Did you play Nintendo 64 as a hindsight?
Yeah.
Just like, oh, that's great. Love that fucking console. The controller is awful, but some of those games are.
Yeah, I even as like being younger, and I'm looking at that controller. I was like, what is this?
I completely forgot how to play it. My muscle memory for my thumb placement is just gone.
But to be the voice from the other room saying, GoldenEye never worked, but James Bond games never worked on any other controller but that one. I'm just going to put that out there and leave it alone.
That's a hot take.
Somebody released an actual first-person shooter version of it where you can use your keyboard and mouse for the PC. It's like, I'm not sure how you can download it. I don't know if there's a specific website, but it apparently works beautifully. And like the game was never meant to be played on the Nintendo 64. But, I'm sorry, Terry, I didn't mean to like step on what you were going to say.
No, you're good.
Cool, guys.
Yeah, I've seen that mod or whatever play. People say it works well.
Cool.
I think we're wrapping that up. Yeah.
Yeah. So next piece that I want you guys to talk about. Actually, we were talking about this a little bit right before the episode started. So I know there's a lot of good content on this one. We're specifically talking about that there was a Switch game, an indie game that was released on Switch. Again, I'll drop the article out there for you so you can take a look at it later. These guys have already seen it. I mean, for you guys watching. The indie game was removed from the Switch after a dev reveals that he had put a code editor in the game as sort of, from his perspective, to allow kids to code. But Nintendo was like, no, you cannot put a code editor on the Switch, and it got pulled. I'd love to hear your guys' take on kind of that. Did he do something wrong? Should he have done it? Should he have not done it? What's your take?
Let's say I go to work and Nintendo is my overarching company. I'm going to do everything in my power not to make them mad. And I think this was literally the worst thing he possibly could, at least for himself. With how Nintendo is with their stuff, and even with the a lot of people trying to hack into the Switch and run different softwares on it, really hard on people. Mad. What are you doing, dude?
I feel like how he even communicated it was really like the worst way. He's like, guys, I'm going to put this out on Twitter. There's an Easter egg. And it just also comes off as like very unprofessional to put it like that. Cause it's like, I put in this code editor as an Easter egg thing to do, when if you really wanted to do it, you just release it and don't tell anybody.
He like puts it on Twitter and I was like, that's not gonna fly.
Talk about like literally lighting yourself on fire or doing something like anything on Twitter. I feel like will just garner the worst attention. Like you just
Especially something like that.
I don't know why you want to welcome that sort of attention, but like he got it, and it's he quoted it's the 3 worst days of his I feel a lot of fucking empathy for what he did, but that's a fucking dumb move. Oh, excuse my language. I shouldn't.
And it was like, even before the stream, I know we're talking, I'm like, can't even hardly play their games on YouTube without them getting a little bit mad over put a code editor in their game that they didn't know about.
Yeah, they're not gonna let that fly. Yeah, I mean, it's like you can't even play like an old Nintendo game without them demonetizing your video. Or yeah, you think you're gonna fucking step into Nintendo's house and cursing again? I apologize. You think you're gonna step into freaking Nintendo's house and freaking put out like a code editor without them knowing? It's impossible. It's a shame, really. Yeah.
Is YouTube now better with Nintendo stuff? At least I feel like I haven't heard as many people complain.
Comment is saying the Nintendo YouTube stuff did get better nowadays, so it has gotten better than it used to be.
Okay, cool.
Maybe there's like a certain degree of like adaptation that I think a company like like even Nintendo has to kind of like do, because a lot of the Nintendo creators do bring in good revenue for the games, and like I feel like they see some appeal with it, and like, but ultimately like Nintendo just they want to present themselves very differently from other companies, like the Nintendo Directs, and like talking about how companies need to communicate with other players, like with the review bombing. Like Nintendo does like one part really well, and then it takes like two steps back in certain ways. I'm holding up five fingers, so it's like, I don't know. I feel like Nintendo is like slowly adapting to the like internet trends with like YouTube and things like that, but in other places they don't.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll move on to
Yeah.
game of the stream here.
Yeah, so
All right.
we're going to, with every Going Rogue episode, we're going to, just like we did before it was called Going Rogue, when it was just the Rogue HQ podcast, couldn't figure out a name that entire time. We're going to feature Golden Krone Hotel today, but a little bit different than what we used to do, just kind of talking about it or trying to bring someone else in. We're actually going to have Gambino, who's familiar with the game, actually playing a little bit of it. So we'll give a quick second for him to get set up here, and then we'll flip
give me
over
one
to that.
second. I apologize.
You're gonna have to explain the game to me like I'm 5, because I do not know a whole ton about the game.
That's fine. I haven't played this game in a little bit, so this should be very interesting.
But while you're kind of booting up, if you can multitask, just give us a little rundown of your take of the game. If you can't multitask, then don't do that.
Sure, I got it loaded up right now. Oh shoot, my title key also brings up the editor. Hang on a second, this is going to take a little bit more than I thought.
I know, I kind of was watching some gameplay of it, and just reminded me of like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. Played that. Old dungeon crawler-esque combat thing. But with vampires.
Pretty much. Geez, hang on a second. All right, and let me change my mouse settings really quick. If anybody can sing a song and dance really quick for me, that would be.
I need to get a technical difficulties. Please stand by screen just to pop up.
Just like a drunk cameraman, like from The Simpsons.
Yes, the Kent Brockman with his head on the spring. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, that one is fantastic. Launch anyway. Cancel. Do I have it already launching? The fuck. Exit. Yes. Okay. Yeah, this is great content. Just gonna say that right now. Whack. All right, we got it in like 5 seconds. I'm gonna start the stream. It's gonna be great. It's all gonna be.
Nothing's going wrong. It's fine.
Hunky. Oh yeah, no, it's all going great. Great. Yeah. No, this is wonderful. All right, good. We're gonna start streaming. All right, we're going. So yeah, Golden Krone Hotel is a really cool game, and I picked it up like about a year ago, or like around like a year, a couple months ago. Like I actually talked to the developer on Twitter, and he gave me a free code because he's like, "Oh, you want to play this game?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" So we're gonna hit continue. Okay, let's see. Came here for a reason. You're not going to leave now. I need to remember how to actually play this game, which is the part I was really.
Now you gotta play it in front of people. And
I feel very worried about this. Let's see, character sheet, hotel map. This is really old school. Okay, there we go. Okay. So yeah, we're gonna get through here. Golden shield. Let's pick up that burning torch too, which I think we can use. Okay, so we got to deal with this Horia grunt. We are stuffed with hunger. That's a good thing.
Oh, we just got an advertisement popping up. Good old Twitch. So
Ooh,
keep going.
Nice.
Keep talking. Maybe talk about a little bit and explain a little bit while we're waiting for the ad to clear.
So what I'm doing right now is I'm basically fighting against all of these monsters that just think they can come step to me. And we're doing good. Let's see. Our health is at 40 out of 45. That's also good. Anybody that steps to me is getting a sword to the face. There's a unidentified potion. I really like the like the roguelike elements of this game is definitely a lot more like top down and more conservative and like, oh geez, he's kicking my ass. Ah! No. Okay, we're doing good. All right, we're fine. Everything's fine.
So it looks like your stream may have just gone offline because I'm not watching an ad. I'm watching just someone play Fortnite now on your on what's supposed to
Oh
be your
no!
channel.
Oh no! Why is
Doing
this
well?
happening?
They're doing better than
I'm
us.
going, wow, that's a really
Oh,
long advertisement. And no, it's just someone playing Fortnite. Okay, all right.
that is a shame. It says I'm streaming. Am I?
Fortnite's taking over
Yeah,
everything now.
we'll
Man.
just punt. So tell us about the game. Tell us why
Oh,
you
you
love
want me
the
to
game.
you want me to describe
Just
it
just
like
talk about it. We'll
an
yeah.
audio? Why
I guess
not?
we'll have to. Yeah.
So it's a top-down game, and it's basically it's like a weird combination of like it's like a it's like that pseudo 16-bit, but it's done very much in like the old Gauntlet Legends style, where it's like top-down, and you're controlling a character through mouse, and you're exploring around all this dungeons and fighting vampires. Pretty cool shit, I must say. Oh, again, swearing. This is a good trial run. So let's see if we go here. And the RPG elements are still the same because like you can select your character, you have your attack accuracy, your defense, evasion, intelligence. You can use revolvers, swords, shields, plate, leggings, and you have like a number of resistances. So it's like it's got that grindy RPG element that if you're looking for in like a more traditional roguelike, it's pretty solid. The controls are pretty straightforward as well. You also get access to like different power ups. It's not like I think the way that I could see it is like it's got like a similar like art style to Curse of the Necro Dancer, but it's much more straightforward.
Is it kind of like a Heroes of Hammer Watch where you're just trying to go fly?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I have this grimoire. I can disappear. I can enrage, which I totally want to do right now because my stream is not working.
It's actually back up.
Oh, it is. Oh, great. How about
up.
that?
Yeah, you're live again.
I don't have to enrage. I don't have to feel any anger. But I am killing some spiders. That's good. All right, are you guys seeing this? Please tell me somebody's seeing this. My God. This is not... Oh, man. This is what happens when I don't stream for a while, too. It's like I lose every single bit. Yeah.
Feel.
Which is fine. It's like sometimes you take a break from the things you want to do. The cool part is like sunlight actually plays a specific mechanic in this game, which I think is really interesting. So like you can actually lead vampires to like fire and they burn instantly. So like there's ways around combat where you're able to pretty much like lead characters through the specific environment and take things out if you really need to. And there's also I'm gonna get war. It increases one of my resistances. The thing is, though, is like in this game, because you also are a vampire, if you get hit by the sunlight when you're like full vampire, you basically die. I think, if I remember correctly, it's like a blade. Like you're like the Daywalker essentially. Except you're not Wesley Snipes.
So can you wear sunscreen and have it be okay? Is that?
I mean, you could, but again, like I think it's cooler if you're Ryan Reynolds or Wesley Snipes. You're not putting on like. You're not being a little sissy and putting on sunblock like the guy from the first movie. It's like, for God's sakes, these people are our fucking food. Let's see. We're gonna go Tempest. Rains down water around the caster. Make better in combat, less intelligent. That's how I feel right now. Kill dogs. PETA was not responsible for making this game, clearly. There's the golden gun, just like in 007. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. All right. Let's see. Where is my inventory? There's the map. Floor. I'm going to actually take a look at some of the letters really quick. An anonymous letter. General Auerbest, trust me when I say that we have a shared interest. On the outskirts of the border town Cragsbellow, there lies a tower inhabited by the worst of scoundrels. Maybe you've heard of it. But few know who resides at the top. None other than Fane. I know during the war he wiped out all of Fane's lieutenants, but the vampire prince eluded you. I can offer you a bounty for taking care of Fane, but we both know the job will be reward enough. I suggest you conceal your identity on this mission, for Fane has both vampire and human in his employ. Now, how about that? Awesome story, and it's also like one thing I wanted to...
Bunch of lore in the game then too. So
yeah, exactly.
Overarching backstory. Cool.
Yeah, you have some mercenaries. Now, one thing that'd be really cool is if I enrage, I can activate my skill set down here. You can also light torches. We're going to do that. Bop. Nice. And I actually think it's interesting because it is turn-based combat. It's not active combat like Enter the Gungeon. So you are like planning out your attacks and like this frog enemy. Like I actually need to lure him out, otherwise I'm going to take a ton of damage and it's not going to be good. Die on stream. That's like my great return to streaming. The dog, yeah, dog I can take out, no problem. Now, can I talk to you? Nice. Ekaterina Popa. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I don't know if I'm doing a lot of things right. So what if you don't know what a potion does? I say drink it down. You know what? That's a great idea. What's the worst that could happen? It's probably poison. Unidentified potion. Yum. Oh, it was ale. Oh, how about that? Nice surprise. Come over here, you bastard. Now, I know this frog is not a zombie, but he does die to swords just as easily. Uh-oh. There's the little pop-up there. Oh, that's not going to work either. Yeah, I think, like, I like this sort of combat. Oh, wait a second. You pick up and equip the copper sword. It's better than what you have now. Okay, cool. So yeah, I'm trying to think of like other stuff that I could talk about with the game. I know I really haven't picked this up in a few months, so it's definitely like still trying to like relearn how to ride my bicycle and then talk about it at the same time. Oh geez.
But we can come back. We can reference back. We can reference the game though as we go along, because we will be getting to what is and what makes a roguelike a little bit later on. So we can kind of bring back Golden Krone when we get to that point.
I did die, so we can quick restart. No, I'd like to keep trying this out at some point, but I think we're doing pretty good. I'd love for you guys to play it on your channels at some point if you guys feel so obliged to do it. That would be awesome.
Even do a stream on the good old Rogue HQ channel right here.
That would be great. I would love that. Didn't we have somebody who streamed a Golden Krone Hotel for the Roguerama?
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did. I wanted to give them a shout out.
Personal best at the end of day one.
Nice. That's awesome. That is really freaking cool. How about that? You should give that guy the plug.
I'll have to look up his exact username, but I will absolutely do that. Because I'll misspell it if I
waiting
just
for
try
the
and say
plug
it
to
here.
come and no one could remember.
No, I think it's funny. I'm going to turn off the stream on my side, okay?
Oh, yeah. Totally fine. We'll go to the next topic. Then talk a little bit about a couple of new games. First is Risk of Rain 2. So Risk of Rain 2, highly anticipated new game sequel to Risk of Rain 1. It's significantly a different game. I know you guys had a little bit of chance to check it out a little bit between now and since we started playing the episode. Love to get your guys' take of sort of the differences between the two, and if just highlight a little bit about the game and what's doing everything. Here's also the link to. I'll put the link to Risk of Rain 2 in the chat as well.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of looked like, honestly, like I saw it at first, and people are flipping around up in the air, and I'm like, oh, this is Anthem, but better or something. Like, finally, someone fixed Anthem, but it looks a lot more crazy. I know the first one had a 2D art style. Now this one's coming to 3D, which I think is really cool. I think that jump.
Also, it sold. It also sold over 1 million copies in the first month. So it's like already doing fucking incredible. It's like 9 out of 10 on Steam. I think people really, really.
Yeah, it's good. Obviously, it's doing well. So.
Have you played it or had the opportunity to play it?
I never played the first one. But after seeing this, it's something like, hey, maybe I'll check it out. Especially in 3D too. That's really cool. I'm not as always into a lot of the stuff, but.
In your opinion, do you feel like a roguelike can work in a 3D engine with 3D space? I feel like
very difficult to do so. I feel like when you think of roguelikes, you're like, not many in 3D, like not at least like this anyway.
I feel like with 3D space, you would really have to figure out how you want your player to move, the avatar to move, because if you can't bar things like a 3D platformer, like which would be like progressive leveling, and like you'd have to make sure that a player can really go anywhere they want to, and handling that like Z depth space is always a challenge. But it looks great. Like the rendering looks excellent. I think the art design looks great. It seems like a lot of fun. I never played the original, so like this is really interesting to me. I don't really care if I'm bad at these kinds of games. I do enjoy playing them.
That's what I think I heard a lot of people saying, or at
Yeah.
least in the article, that that guy was like, it's really difficult, and he just went back between playing the original on his Switch and this one on his PC, so they're really difficult, but they'd suck you in.
I feel like games they offer a challenge are satisfying. Like you don't have to be good at a game to want to like get better at it. Like, I mean, like Skip, like Enter the Gungeon is really challenging, but you enjoy playing it because you get something out of learning each time you die. Is that fair to say?
Been able to put like 200 hours into it, and I know Skip. You've been playing it a little bit more, Skip.
I've recently picked it up again. Yeah, trying to basically get past my. I'm a slow learner when it comes to games, so it takes me longer. But I have decided I want to get better at that one because it's so much fun. That is the draw of roguelikes for me.
I feel like that's a lot of things that like certain games like roguelikes excel at, because it like death really is an encouragement. It's not a failure. It's not a stopping of progression, which I think is really cool. I know we're kind of getting off like the topic of like what does 3D games, do they work with like roguelikes, but I don't know. I feel like they could if the design philosophy is there, you know.
For sure.
A next new
we
game.
Move on to our next new game.
The next new game is Nova Drift. This game I watched some friends play, and I'm really glad I don't suffer from any type of seizure disorder, because it is like as many flashing lights placed on top of the overlay of asteroids. It's probably the best way to explain it if you haven't seen it. So I'll put the link in so you can check it out for yourselves into the chat there if you haven't seen it yet. But I'd love to get your guys' take on this style of a roguelike. There's not many that we've seen that sort of just are the single screen space.
I mean, it kind of reminds me of like Geometry Wars and like Galaga or something along that lines, with just more weird eccentric enemies. So something kind of along those lines is where I see it.
To me, it reminds me of Ikaruga a little bit. Like more free form. Obviously, you're not like constricted to like linear progression, but there's something that's really cool about like that art design. Like you really get the strong contrast between like the deep purples and like the brighter lights. So yeah, it is like a more modern Asteroids on like PC.
Yeah, that's why it kind of reminded me of Geometry Wars or even Flash going insane.
I always liked Ikaruga too, just because of like the skill level on that is also pretty nuts. Even like the easiest levels are like really challenging, but no, I totally get those vibes. It looks great. I'm not sure if I would play a game like this, because I don't usually play a lot of the like asteroid shooter games, or I haven't really been drawn to them as much as I feel like I could.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I wouldn't have had it really on my radar, but maybe I'll check it out, and maybe it's something I end up enjoying.
I'm not sure. I still have to play Golf Story. I know we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah,
I know. It's like, is there any narrative adventure in this asteroid shooting game? I don't know. No, it looks. I mean, I think it'd be great to check out too. But
so
I always have too many.
So kind of on that vein of, I mean, the different types of things from Risk of Rain 2, Nova Drift, everything else. What is the definition of a roguelike? There's actually a YouTube video that got passed along in our Rogue HQ Discord. I'll post the links to that and to the article kind of talking about really what does it mean for something to specifically be a roguelike. So obviously don't watch that YouTube video right now. Watch it later, but you can certainly pull up the second one, the link. That gets to the Berlin interpretation of roguelikes, gets to a couple of core fundamentals of what makes something a roguelike. Is this the right definition? I know you guys have had a chance to read through it. Does it fit? Where does it mess? How should it, like, is this too narrow? Is this too broad? What's your thinking on that? And you know, how does, especially if you think about the things we've talked about today, Golden Krone Hotel, Risk of Rain 2, Nova Drift, how does that all fit in when they're all so very different?
Yeah, it always gave me a headache trying to figure out what's actually a roguelike and what's not sometimes. Honestly, there's so much to it, and this is always kind of question. I don't know. I've always been like, that's just a roguelike because I die a lot and there's traps. Roguelike. Like that's how I always kind of looked at it. I never really looked at it from more of a narrowed down back. Um, I don't know. I feel like I'm cool with it just being kind of a broad thing and having a lot of these indie games just get called roguelikes, die, traps, and permadeath and things like that. I guess I'm on the team like I just kind of call it as I see it sometimes. I feel like.
Or you get into the subcategories too, which is like rogue lights, rogue vanilla, rogue classic. I feel like a lot of the terminology is like, not that it's unnecessary because there was a reason like to call it roguelikes in general, because you're able to like market your games to specific players, and like people love there's such a huge love for roguelikes in general that I feel like and the reason why it's so broad is like you can get a number of different games that people may not have tried that would try it if it's a roguelike. Like I don't think I would have tried Golden Krone Hotel if I hadn't, if I haven't played other roguelikes.
Yeah, that's fair. I know so many of the
But
games we have here. It's like, or at least in the Discord and there, it's like there's a lot of stuff I might not have ever played. Um, but now everything being called a roguelike or being categorized under that, now I'm like, ooh, roguelike. Okay, what do we got here?
yeah, it's like but every game also feels unique enough, like where you get a different experience each time you play it, like whether it's turn-based combat or you have something that's more real-time combat, or one game that I know we want to talk about in the future with that Nintendo robot was Cultist Simulators. Like it's not a roguelike per se, but it's like a narrative driven deck builder game with roguelike elements where you die and you replay the game, and certain elements of your previous life play a factor into the next game. And I think that there's something really fascinating about that because the way it encourages people to just keep replaying versus like playing it once, experiencing a story, and then just like bouncing basically.
Yeah, and I mean it offers replayability. I mean something like the Gungeon, and I could there and play that all day, even though you're in the same things, fighting the same bosses, but you get different items, different stuff all the time. And
Or like
Darkest
Dead Cells.
Dungeon, some and Dead Cells too. Like go into those different. You can really just lose yourself in this kind of stuff. It's tough to narrow it down on one little thing.
Yeah, I feel like and then you also get the obfuscation, which I got because I'm an old man boomer Beano. Like I thought Hollow Knight was a roguelike, but it's not. It's platformer progression game. It's not a roguelike at all. Metroidvania, I should say. So it's like it kind of obfuscates it, but there's a reason why they call it roguelikes. It's because it has to fit a certain paradigm. But yeah, I'm not really sure. I kind of like that it's so wide engrossing because it allows a lot of different games to exist in that. Like, I don't think I would have played a game like Crypt of the Necrodancer had it not been a roguelike either.
So kind of in that vein, guys, thinking about the games that you've only really explored because they were roguelikes. There's an article that was posted that I sent along to you guys. You definitely have seen it. That's saying here are the best rogue. I'll actually post that in here as well. Here are the best roguelikes. A beginner's guide to the what they call dialogue genre. This was posted in Tech Radar in February of this year, and they covered some fairly obvious ones, I think, and some not as obvious. They covered Binding of Isaac, which actually was just our most recent roguelikes you should know episode. They talked about Dead Cells, which was our first roguelikes you should know. They then talked about Into the Breach, which was our second roguelikes you should know. So far, I'm agreeing with them personally.
Are you not also the writer for this article?
I am not the writer for this article.
You have a second identity?
No.
Oh, jeez.
And
this
then
is a great way to promote your...
Yeah, exactly, right? Promote my articles? Yeah, exactly. No. And then they talked about the dungeon crawler named Crawl, and finally Slay the Spire. which I know we've covered in a previous episode of Going
in
Rogue.
this podcast. Yeah.
In this podcast. But that they offer just 5 of them. From your perspective, I mean, we've got a deck builder in here, we've got a dungeon crawler, we have a strategy game, we have a Metroidvania roguelike, and we have kind of a action-based, kind of bullet hellish roguelike. So it definitely spans the genres. Is this a good list of the 5 games you would give to someone, or would you want to substitute that out? Because we have nothing that's turn-based action hack and slash. We kind of have nothing from, more of the obscure side, and also nothing from the and kind of more of the adventure. I suppose the RPG is more on the adventure side, but more of the simulation side. Is this a good list? Anything else that you guys would add or remove from it?
I'm actually kind of.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to step on you. I just kind of curb stomped on that. No, go ahead. You go first.
Oh, all right. Well, I would hot take it and replace the shoot 'em up, of course. And I think everyone knows what's coming. I never got into Binding of Isaac. I don't know. I think more just because of the art style and things like that. Enter the Gungeon being the first shoot 'em up roguelike. I mean, I think they definitely could both be on this list for certain. But I'm gonna sit here and lobby for Enter the Gungeon. How I want to run around with these cute little bullets and shoot them, and your guns do wacky stuff. I mean, that's just stupid fun. Where Binding of Isaac, it's impressive.
I like Binding of Isaac just as like what they were trying to tell with the story, but it's also probably one of the most approachable games to do. Like I would say Spelunky if I wanted somebody to experience like pain, because the game is tough. Like Spelunky is a really tough game with a great art style, but Enter the Gungeon is also really challenging. But I don't know if there's like an easy ramp up for any of those games. I'm not quite sure.
Those bullet hell games. I remember getting into Enter Gungeon the first time, and I'm like, I watched people play it and whatever, and I jumped into it, and I was like, oh my god, what is happening? This is really my first bullet hell that I ever played, but it was like, okay, this is tough, but I don't think there's necessarily like a game that you can go, oh, here, this will introduce you to it. It's more like, yeah, just get in there, die a bunch, but it's fine.
They were saying that Crypt of the Necrodancer was, in a way, the rhythm-based approach to maneuvering around the game made it easier because they had to build it to a very set, like, boop, boop, boop. So it wasn't like quick reaction time. It's more like you're moving to the beat. So, and this was actually in the YouTube video that you had introduced us to earlier, which I really thought was a great point. It's like you are able to create a challenging experience that isn't kind of predicated on reaction time or skill set. It's literally how much of a beat you have. If you're clapping like this, you're going to have a tough time, but most people can kind of do like 1, 2, 3, 4, and you kind of like, you're able to set a pace for yourself. In a way, I think that's a really cool design choice just for anybody to pick up and.
Yeah, a couple comments they're saying about Enter the Gungeon specifically. If you're thinking about just beginners, that is a relatively tough game for beginners, especially like the first image of the article actually is Spelunky, but that's not on their list, possibly for that reason. And also about Crypt the Necrodancer, also comment here, I have to say, they had to simplify it not to overwhelm the player with the rhythm, which is very true.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in a way, it's like you want to make sure you're ramping your players up to it. Like that's why, and I hate to say it, like League of Legends does certain things better than what Dota did, where Dota is there's no tutorial, you have full control of your character, there's multiple different mechanics that you kind of have to be aware of, and there's so much more you have to spin on your plate, like creep denial, wave blocking, not even like, I mean, there's warding and there's like other aspects of like MOBA game development. I don't mean to go off and talk about MOBAs or anything like that, but this is a Going Rogue podcast. But there's certain things about like design and games that I feel like you need to kind of simplify for a player, or at least in the beginning, like kind of ramp up that difficulty. But that's just, I could be completely wrong. Some people like to go in and like be masochistic, and that's fine. I very much like ramping up the difficulty.
Otherwise, the list, I thought it was really good. Obviously, like everything else, I'm not like too familiar with Crawl, but everything else, I was like, yeah, that totally would fit. And I remember opening up the article, I'm like, well, where's Darkest Dungeon? I'm like, oh wait, game is stupid difficult. I forgot.
I like Crawl as a multiplayer game. It's a game you can pick up with your friends and play all on one screen. Great game, only because when you die, you can start possessing other enemies and attack your friends. So the dynamic for Crawl is really interesting because it's a multiplayer roguelike, which I don't think I've seen before either.
Yeah, another multiplayer one. Here's a Handbot. I think I'd probably slot in there. That one's fairly easy to get into, and it's pretty chill, and there's not too many multiplayer roguelikes out there. Like,
yeah, I like Crawl just because the pixel art's also really fucking smooth. Oh, I'm sorry, producer. I gotta call error on myself. Can I just get like a clown noise? Like
I'm tallying your fines for later. It's okay.
You can just call my dad, Mr. Game. You have a word from father. But yeah. So the thing is like, is that him? Oh God.
Oh he's calling down. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say try Crawl if you have 3 other friends that want to play some games together. But yeah, and I'm trying to think of other roguelikes to recommend, but I'm kind of drawing a.
That's. I mean, honestly, it's a good list for beginners. Really, I think it was. I have to say the article was pretty well pulled together. Yep. So last topic, guys, that we're going to talk about here, and then we'll have to save other stuff for the next episode. We got to save some stuff, you know. So specifically, let's end it, and we'll try to do this every time, talking about a game that's coming soon. So the game that's coming up is a game called Deck Hunter. I'm actually going to play the actual trailer. We can watch that, chat about it. Hopefully in the future, we'll be getting games that we'll be able to actually preview, you know, but that's down the road when we're very famous and wealthy curators and people come to us for our opinions. But for right now, you know, that's all we can do. So I'll play this one for you guys real quick. This is Deck Hunter, and yeah. Oh, it's just watching.
Okay. Well, I mean, narration. Next time we'll do it. Next time we'll do it again.
coming soon to the theater.
Coming soon to a theater and video game store near you.
Start with in a world. In a world.
Okay. In a world where people make tons of roguelike card deck builder games. There is one. I mean, is it like? I mean, I think it's cool because like, I've never seen deck building games this deck buildery. With cards and 3D graphics. Oh my god. It'll blow the pants off of you.
You gotta think that grow your deck was an intentional euphemism too.
Nah. Oh, you want to go low hanging fruit there, Mr. Producer? String combos is like got to be something for like. I can't make that joke either. That's way too risque.
Probably not. Yeah. Comments here. Yeah. Getting a Slay the Spire vibe here. 100%. That was my take. But I love you guys to get your take on what's coming with it.
I mean, for us, I need to. I'll be honest. I'm gonna cop to something, and I'm doing this in a very safe environment on the internet. Safe. I'm just gonna say it. I've never played Slay.
What?
Oh no. Wait.
Andy's gone.
No, I'm fine. Do it for comedic effect, but it's only funny to me. No, I mean, it looks interesting. Like, again, like, I have not played a lot of these deck builder games aside from, like, Cultist Simulator, but it seems pretty straightforward. Is it, like, I mean, I guess I would ask, is it a lot similar to Darkest Dungeon in terms of, like, deck builder games, or how would you guys, like, kind of look at that?
Looks more like Slay the Spire to me, but I think Skip's better on that topic. It's good.
It's like they combined a little bit of the element of some of Slay the Spire with the deck building, some RPG elements as well. It looks like it'll have some amount of world exploration. So it'll be interesting to see. There's some games that have tried to do that. I know Cards of Cthulhu tried to do more of the 3D stuff, but it was still just a straight deck builder. So if they can actually unlock the magic of deck building plus open world exploration that's not a weird Kingdom Hearts knockoff, it'll actually be pretty good.
That'd be interesting. An open world exploration game where it's like you. Now, would it be like Final Fantasy VII where you like run around and you get random encounters, or would you be like, is it like Pokemon where somebody's like, "Hey kids, totally a great day to die, isn't it?" And they whip out cards and swords. It's all going to hell real.
Pokemon everywhere.
So developers, if you're listening, if you would actually have given us a key to the game, we could answer this question appropriately, but we don't know.
I'm not affiliated with these guys. I'm not. I'm not saying.
And your camera's still spinning, my friend.
Oh, my camera's spinning? Hang on a second.
Mm-hmm. And he's back. He's back.
Okay, good. Now I really wish I just like DC'd because it's like developers. I'm like, I'm out of here. See you later.
Bye.
Hang on a second.
Camera's not back. Oh, that's back. Okay.
I'm not trying to make that joke work. I think it just hit my space bar, so I apologize.
Well, guys, I think that's that's all the topics that we've got for this episode. Hopefully, it won't be too long before the next one. Anything, go round the horn, and by the round the horn, we'll have one person talk, then the next person, because there's two people in a circle. Something specifically you're hoping to talk about on the next episode, something that you hoped we can discuss.
Well, I guess for me it'd be the ETG update, the Enter the Gungeon update. Obviously, that's farewell update and stuff like that. And just game, I love the game, and definitely would like to talk about that. And hopefully, people would like to see that. I definitely would like to talk about that.
Gambino?
Well,
put you on the spot much?
No, please. I mean, it's not a bit. I'm actually thinking. I would love to talk about WoW Classic, but that's not a roguelike. But I feel like there's certain themes of exploration and like progression that I feel like tie to roguelikes as well. Maybe there's something we can talk about there. But that's fine. Cultist Simulator is another huge one. I would love to go into detail and talk about that. Yeah. And actually play it because I'm narrative games I'm really into, and oh man, it's so fucking good. Summoning demons and recruiting followers to join a cult, like what's not to love?
Exactly. That's it for our hour, everybody. Thanks everyone for being here and being in the chat and watching. For those of you on YouTube, hopefully you can binge watch all the previous episodes and then catch us live next time.